Well, welcome back to our Builder series. I'm Danielle Palloschi-Browne with the Casa Group, investor agent and agent that specializes in working with builders and developers. And this is my co-host and dear friend, Raj Tamang with Green Valley Custom Builders. So Raj, thanks again for doing this with me every week. This has been super fun and we're almost at a full 2 months of doing this now.
Yeah.
Almost, we're getting there. I've been enjoying this a lot, and we've been getting a lot of positive feedback about how helpful these topics have been, especially for potential flippers and those even interested in doing renovation on their own home. So today's topic, I think, is going to be the most relevant that we've had so far, which we're going to talk about construction scheduling. So important, so many tips and tricks here. So why don't we start with, why is the schedule important? Right? Like, why can't I just do my tile or my backsplash tile before my granite countertop is in? Like, why? Why does that even matter?
Exactly. You just have to follow the sequence, right? So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, step-by-step procedure. And also you have to make the schedule. Sometimes if you just go by without a schedule, you'll definitely finish the project, but instead of taking maybe 3 months or 4 months, it's gonna probably take 8 months or 12 months, right? Especially for the investors, it's very important because time is money, of course. And when I do a spec home or renovation project or flip, you have a money involved of holding cost, financing cost. Usually, flipper, not all the flipper, they have a cash. So you use a hard money lending, which is very expensive. Which right now,
yeah,
it is.
They like to see your construction schedule too, as part of even your construction draw or loan process. It's really important to have that schedule because they want to make sure you're not making costly mistakes and not, that you know what you're doing, really.
Exactly. They want to make sure that their money is also protected because they invested that money on your project, of course. So those are all a part of the game in a process. You have to be mindful.
Absolutely. So what are some of the most common mistakes you see when it comes to construction scheduling? Like, where is the easiest way to go wrong? I guess that I think is probably great for both beginners and also really experienced builders. Like, where can you go wrong?
So it's so funny. The construction, you can never do anything in a schedule. Always, it will go wrong. Okay.
Yes.
If you say I'm gonna finish this framing in 2 months, or let's say not 2 months, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, there is no definite date. There would be like maybe 1 day or 2 day delay, or maybe it's raining. If you are doing framing, there is no roof, means you are depending on the mercy of weather. Even these days, if it's too hot, guys, they don't want to work because in 90s, it's too hot sometimes. They have to take a break. My guys, they tend to come early, like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and they try to beat the heat, and try to go early, maybe like 2, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock.
Yeah, it just gets too hot.
Exactly, it's too hot. And same thing in the winter time, if it's raining or if snowing is too cold, you won't be able to work. But it depends. The cold is so funny. I have a client. They do a lot of project in this area, and he's a supervisor. He used to work in New York, right? This area, New York, or up north, and they were saying that when it's 30s, they take off their shirt because for them it's so hot, 30s. So like for us, that's maybe too much. But if you go down to Florida, you have a 60s, 70s, they are wearing a jacket and coat, right? But our area, good thing is that we're pretty much working 12 months a year, except, holidays and few too cold, or maybe if it's snowing, you won't be able to work for a week or two. But especially inside work doesn't matter. We continue to work. But outside work, it depends on the weather. So schedule-wise, we know that very difficult to get the 100% exact schedule, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. But at least with our project, I try to make all the schedule for the project because we pretty much know now the size of the project. I'm talking about mostly spec homes because we have a different trades and different subcontractors or vendors involved. So it's very important you have your schedule in place. Renovation project, usually you work with one contractor who draws everything, who does right everything here, and you just have to make sure they are working. It's their responsibility to do all the scheduling. But when you do new construction, there's no one contractor doing everything unless you are hiring a builder. But that's a different scope. But we are trying to be a builder and try to manage the project. It means you have different trades and disciplines and vendors you have to implement right in your whole process of project. So I do all of them based on my experience with a singular project. I make a schedule and I notify some of the things. It's very easy to go or slip by. It's ordering materials on time, especially this time. Nothing comes on a schedule. Even if your vendor says, I'm going to give you in 4 weeks, be prepared. If that 4 becomes, exact 6 or 8 weeks, or even, you never know. So that uncertainty is still there, but at least I'm constantly talking with my vendor. Okay, you say 4 weeks. Once we order, what's going on? Okay, do you think we're still in place? Constantly communicate with them, give them pressure. And I would say it's more like communications wise. You need to know, okay, when the framing is, for example, for a new construction, if the framing is starting next week. So all the framing material, you should not start ordering now, especially now. You have to at least be prepared like 4 weeks or 6 weeks in advance, things like that. I plan ahead all of that with all the lumber suppliers and with our vendors.
And even other things like windows. Like you can't do anything really inside the house until you get some windows, because it becomes, many multitude of hazards. Windows right now, depending on the type, style, if they're custom or standard sizes, I hear anywhere from 10 weeks to 6 months, like depending on really what you need. With I'd say 3 to 4 months being the kind of average. Now, if you're not building from new construction, say you're doing a major renovation, that's a long time to wait for windows. Like it actually may cause you to go, hey, should we do this project if we have to hold it for that long, if it's a much more minimal renovation? Scheduling, it also can cost you a lot in ordering things too early rather than too late. Because what if you have a product like lumber and you end up not being ready for it and it sits outside for a few weeks? Could there be any challenges there with the wood product being exposed to the elements, especially like right now we're having extreme heat, right? It's like over 90 degrees every single day here, and it's humid, very humid. Let's just say it's really, really humid. How could that affect materials that you leave outside or that are exposed to elements over time? Like how could that affect your construction?
Yeah, it does. You're right. Lumber, you're right. So you're framing, you're supposed to start 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, but you already have a lumber sitting on your side for almost a month. Maybe a few weeks is okay, because 1 or 2 weeks, maybe even like 3, 4 weeks, try to make sure you protect it with the plastic and things like that. The critical part is a drywall. Drywall, you don't want to put a drywall outside for long, because a drywall can easily absorb the moisture. What that means is that once you install down the road, you have a mold and you have all sort of issues you can have. I have many experience in my past. So that I would say be careful. I see that sometimes people try to put the drywall fully stack outside for like 2, 3 weeks. But the problem with the drywall is this is what happens with the drywall. It's not just the water, but if you completely wrap with the plastic, what happens now, you have this moisture trapped inside. There is no breathing. Okay?
Yeah.
That means now the drywall already has a mold start developing inside before you even start installing it. And the mold is crazy, right? There's nothing you could do about mold. And it just, there's so many different type of molds. And going through that treatment process with the mold is more painful than just getting a new drywall, in my experience.
And now you've just spent
and also at the investor
and lost time, and all because of mismanaging the schedule, really.
Yeah, it is. So that's all important, and all coordination that that involves everybody in your team, including your project manager, your purchasing people in office, you as a whole overall coordinations. For me, in my office, when we do spec home or new construction, let's say we're doing anything 6 to 10,000 square foot homes. The minute we start digging the ground or breaking ground, within 6-7 months we finish the project. Okay, wow. For that you have to have a very tight schedule, and it's very doable. I can even finish in 5 months. Okay, but there's some other things that's not in our control. Like I'll give you an example: utilities connection with Washington Gas. That may just I have a project where I finished the house. I've been waiting for a month and a half to connect the gas, because until gas is connected, you cannot turn on your HVAC.
Yep.
Right? The AC, especially
hot water, has for so much stuff.
Yeah, so if the AC is not on, you cannot install a hardwood floor, because all the dry inside has to be set. Your temperature, all that balance. Give at least, I would say, at least for a week or 2 weeks until after you turn on your HVAC system on. I give at least a week or 2 weeks to bring my hardwood floor. Because that hardwood floor, you have to keep it for at least a few weeks, couple of weeks. I do at least 3-4 weeks just to be safe side. 2 or 3 weeks sometimes. It depends. If it's tight schedule, I do within a week or 2 weeks. But if the time is not pressing, I try to go like at least 2-3 weeks or even 4 weeks. It depends, so that we know that there would not be a problem if you have enough time. Put it inside the house. So that's how it works. So some people, I know that in construction industry, I've been doing this for almost 15-20 years. Some of the builders, for a project this size, if you do new construction, let's say 5 to 10,000 square foot homes, somewhere in McLean, Vienna, or Fall Source, your standard timeline for a builder is about 12 months. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Like completely new construction.
Completely new construction. I'm talking about completely new construction. Starting from breaking the ground to finish. Usually it takes about 12 months. But for me, I take 6-7 months, or maximum I say 5, 6, or 7 months. There's a way to manage it. For me, instead of doing 12 projects at a time and taking 12 months to finish, I'd rather do 6 projects at a time. Okay, finish the project in 6-7 months. So then I think it's more manageable. And also my one project manager is managing at most 2 projects at a time, so that they can fully focus on a project and finish by the deadline within 5 or 6 months or 7 months. Or you have one project manager managing 4 or 5 projects, of course you won't be able to finish in 6 months, right? Yeah. So then it's going to take 12 months. This is all the planning. This is all my strategy. And for me, that planning or strategy work, right? Doing less in quantity, but try to finish quickly. So you have a more, rotation of the project. And also it's fun. I think if you're working on the same project forever, I think it's boring at some point. It's just like, I just want to finish and move on,
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, so to kind of just recalibrate on a couple of tips on this, a lot of concepts that we just chatted about, I think I wrote a couple of notes, and I think these are the most important things to know. So order early and be really on top of your schedule. Check in really frequently on how things are going with your schedule. Like weekly might not even be enough. Probably daily on everything, especially material delivery and costs, like those things. Really should be checking in as frequently as possible to make sure you can maintain your schedule. And then finally, you may want to have, and we didn't really touch on this point, but I'd like to ask you this question now, have some contingencies if you cannot continue working on one part of the house or one part of the project because of insert reason here. What else can I do in the meantime that keeps things moving, but falls in line with the schedule as best as possible. So like, for instance, right now I'm working on a condo conversion project in DC with another developer. And we were having challenges with the county coming to do some inspections, getting them on time to just come out and tell us everything looks good. So finally, in the probably 2 or 3 weeks, it was almost maybe even close to a month, we waited for them to come out to just do the next inspections. We were like, okay, so what are we going to do in this month? Well, we are completely at the mercy of them showing up to do this inspection. What are we going to do? Like, okay, we're going to do the welding for the fire escape outside. We're going to pour the parking pad. We're going to get the garage set up. We're going to do the landscaping in the front. So we started making a list of what else can we do that is unaffected by us having to wait to do anything else on the inside. And what that really does is now we're not doing all that stuff at the end. We didn't just put everything on hold for a month. It saves a lot of money in carrying costs and time overall, because your time, it really is money, especially when you're trying to flip, build, develop, and then resell these homes. And also for clients, if you're a custom home builder, your client wants to get into their new house, like likely as soon as possible. And they're really, really excited to live there because they've put in all this effort. But what are your thoughts on having contingent, like other contingencies? Like what else can we work on while we're waiting for this? Like what have you done in the past, or what are some cool places to find opportunities to do things while, say, you're waiting on your flooring to get used to the climate in the house? What other things could you be working on in the meantime?
Yeah, those are the important things you have to keep in mind. Sometimes you can do it, and there's nothing you can do. If it is already, there's nothing you can do in between. You just have to wait. But some of the things, for example, you said about inspections. On new homes, we do third-party inspection, most of it, because we know that if I have to wait for, county inspector, it may take more time, time consuming. Sometimes in DC area, and this is different. But here in Fairfax County, where we build most of our spec homes and custom homes, so all concrete and groundwork related inspection we do is third-party inspector. So that way we can save a lot of time.
So it's a private inspector, not through the county, but you're paying someone privately to tell the county this looks good.
Correct. So those third-party inspectors should be approved by the county on the list. And we have a few inspectors, like third-party companies, inspection company we work with. So it would be a lot easier for them because we pay them. So you're still doing the right thing, but time is where you're managing your time more effectively. So you don't have to wait for the inspector to come in. And another thing I would say, Danielle, is that working with all these softs and vendors, especially with new construction, you have to remember all these softs, they work with other builders too.
Yeah.
They have other clients like us. So how about you also have to build a relation with them, also get a schedule for them, because let's say, okay, I'm ready to start doing framing next week. How about my framer is not ready, right? So that's another thing you have to keep in mind. Also, like I say, let's say I say framer, okay, I will be ready to start framing next week, Monday. How about all of a sudden my concrete groundwork or concrete order was not completed because of rent, whatever reason could be. Now all of a sudden he's okay, I'm sorry, I'm not ready for next week. You have to come back in 3 days. He may not come in today because he might have other project already lined up. Okay.
Yeah.
So all those things is the way I do is I try to work with all these softs and vendors very closely, build that relationship and trust, saying that, okay, you guys have to understand it. My deadline, I'm telling you, okay, we should be able to start by Monday next week, but please give us at least 2-3 days. You know how the construction goes, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to build that relationship. I try to talk with them in a very deep level, in a meaningful way, not just a transaction. I go out with them for lunch. We do a lot of, I give them a gift card and gift certificate during Christmas and holidays. Try to treat them like family. So when you do that, when times are right, it would be pay off. So we do picnic, things like that. We invite all their friends and families, mostly their family and kids have a fun. We pay for all food. try to build that intimate relation with them where they can trust for us as a builder and client, but at the same time, we can depend on them when they needed to for few days like that, saying, so that they can make our project a priority over somebody else, right?
For sure. You need those colleagues and collaborators and partners. Really, they're just as much a partner in getting all of this done as whoever your builder, developer, designer, like all of those people have to come together to get this done. There's too many components to ever think you could do it all by yourself.
Yeah. So that's what I would say. Like you say, you do your best, make a schedule, make a realistic scheduling, and also one of the things we do on new construction, because I talk about more new construction because that's what we do majority of our project now, is that we have a software called Builder Train. Those are online management, construction management software. So what I do with that is that for each project, I have a to-do list and every item. So my project managers should look at that to-do list every day. So that what happens on the to-do list, I have all the items listed, what needs to be done from the beginning to the completion. So they need to know that when they are there, they have to look at the schedule every day. If anything we have to order now, even though construction for that particular trade is in 3 months or 2 months or 1 month, they have to prepare now. Okay.
Yeah.
So because sometimes you have to remember they're busy, they are running around too. So you cannot depend on them 100%. So we make sure that they're also looking at the scheduling, they're checking every day, and also we're also checking so that there's a minimum of errors so that we can stay with the schedule. So some of the tricks you can use like that. For example, we use a software trained, builder train, and also what it does is that as a principal of the company, I don't have time to go through all the project, but I need to know what's going on. So all my project managers, they upload the photos every day on the builder train. So I can exactly see what's going on every day. So that stays there for free forever. You're paying very minimum for using the service, but then I think that those type of software can help you to make your life easier. And
for sure, because it seems like it helps with collaboration, communication, and also it scales your business. Because if you can use that same checklist and then just customize it a little bit per project, say something, I have to add in this step because they want a koi pond or something you don't do every single day at every project, but you can just add in a task. Start koi pond project or whatever you need throughout the process. It really systemizes it for your whole team and all your subcontractors, and it takes a lot of guesswork out. There's too many. Like that to-do list must be thousands of boxes to check. By the time you start the concept of buying this house and building it and complete it, there must be thousands of check boxes if you think about it, like for whoever's doing whatever they're doing. So having a tool like this seems really important. Do you think you could share in the comments on the Facebook post the website to the tool that you were mentioning, and anybody who's interested could take a look at it?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
There are so many different online software, construction management software you can use. But good thing about Builder Train is that sometimes if I'm building a house for a client, I can even give it access to the client. And if I have to do any change order, or contract, or payment, I can even go through the software. So everything is on record. Yeah. And one of the things I do is also, like you said, if you build a house for a client, a custom home, they're so excited. They are so excited. They want to move in tomorrow, and I haven't even started the project. So they want to. Some of the client, they want to go there to the site every day to look at what's going on. But that could be a big issue for you, because if your homeowner start going to a site every day, then sometimes there would be big issue, right? We know people on the construction side, because they start picking things they're not supposed to pick. They start talking with our softs and vendors, and you know what I'm saying? And anything can go wrong. So I tell my customers, you cannot go by yourself. If you want to go, maybe once a week or once in 2 weeks, you can go, but you cannot go every day. And sometimes
No,
the
you're just
problem is
getting
they go and they
frustrated.
start looking around. They start questioning why you have a one nail, why you have a two nail, why you have a hanger. Looks like hanger is a little bit loose. Man, that's not your job. That's our job. Make sure that everything is done in compliance with the drawing, and that's why we have the inspector too, right? That's why we have project managers. But we also give them photos every day or progress our photos, so they know what's going on. So instead of going to the side what's going on, we give them access to the folder so that they can see the work progress.
Awesome.
If that makes sense. So
Yeah,
those are the tools I think I also be very helpful and can come handy for you to streamline your process and do it quicker. Like I said, for me, instead of taking 12 months, I'd rather finish in 6 months, do another project, right? I have one project working for 2 years. My project manager he's getting sick. He's definitely getting sick and tired now. He said, Raj, this is my house now. I really hate this place because I don't blame him anymore. He's going to the same site for 2 years now. It's just like looking at people. It's just boring. People want change, right? So that's why I think finish the house, go to the next project instead of doing 5 projects at a time. Do 1 or 2 projects and do quickly. Same thing. I think for me, it's working out for me. Like I said, having a qualified project managers and only assign 1 or 2 projects where they can fully focus and finish quickly in 6 months instead of one project manager managing 4 or 5 projects, then taking 12 months or 16 months. I think overall, if you look at the numbers, for me, it's better to finish a project, in 6 months, get the money and start working on another project. And I do the same thing. I do the same thing on the spec homes too. Instead of buying 12 homes at a time, we probably do 5, 6 homes at a time. Try to focus on finishing quickly, and then we can go for next project.
Well, I think this has been great. This is really, really helpful. Scheduling is just such an important part of the process, and I think remembering to be on top of it from the beginning, be on top of it every single day after that. Be mindful of how you're communicating either with a client, with your teams, with your subcontractors. It's so important to, at a high level, to make sure everyone is on the same page, and your vendors too. Anybody providing you materials in order to keep the schedule going. It's really important. And if you can, leverage a tool like Buildertrain, like you were saying, which again, we'll link in the comments for anyone who's interested. But also Google it. I've heard of several, none of which I can think of off the top of my head, but several other construction management tools and projects. This is still good, even if you're not a custom home builder like Raj and working with clients for their personal homes. Is still really good to utilize a tool like that. If you're a flipper, working with your subcontractors, your project managers, your assistant, whoever, it sounds like that could be really useful for that too. So great. This was wonderful. And if you have any questions, do post in the comments. Raj and I will happily get back to you with any information you're looking for. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks, Raj.
Sounds good. Bye. Thanks, Danielle. Bye-bye.